Okay, so back to our lab. Welcome to our third lab, running experiments. So in this time, we are using the Jupyter notebook to run experiments on the compute instance we've created. So you need to be sure your compute instance is running, and then your compute clusters. Ensure the session has not expired because it automatically signs you out. So you need to be sure the session has not expired. And then we are now going back to the compute instance onto our user folder and the subfolder DP-100. And we are going to run this experiment here. And once we are done, we'll come back to close the compute cluster and then, or stop the compute cluster, and then we end the session for today. So it's not really going to be a long one. So back to our compute cluster here, though we are already here. So we need to refresh to be sure it has not signed us out. Then we come here. So number 3A, running experiments. So we have to wait, check our kernel. Okay, the kernel is ready. So here we are. So any experiments or resources that you have on the Azure Machine Learning Studio, like I said, our first lab is already connected here, and you can access them from this environment. So it's very easy for you to communicate with your Azure Machine Learning Studio from here, okay? So what we are going to do is that we are going to run this experiment, and this is what the experiment is about, still the diabetes experiment, which we have, but we are creating a new one, given this name. Then we are going to start the experiment and giving it the data. Then we are going to run or do different plots with it. And then we are going to log, I think we have a different pregnancy column, sorry. I'm going to open the data folder to be sure kind of data we are working with here. So this is it. Okay, so we have pregnancies. Did we have pregnancy in the previous one?
I don't think so. I don't think I saw it.
Yeah. So there's a new, I think, so this is going to be about diabetes in pregnant women. Is it possible to be pregnant for 11 months?
Yes, sir.
So most of the
people,
yeah, there is. See 10. This is 10. 10 again. I just saw 11 now, yeah. Okay, so this is the new data set we are going to work with in this experiment. So let's see if we're connected to it. Okay, so we are in the workspace, the workspace we've been using. So we are going to run this experiment here. So what we are going to learn basically here is how to use the Azure Machine Learning experiment to run Python code and also record values from it and extract data from it. So while your experiment is running, just in case another application needs record from it or data from it, we want to learn how to dynamically access our experiment and pull out data from it for other processes, okay? So we are going to use this data still on diabetes and then to do different experiments or to run or explore the data, see different statistics in it, visualizations and different data samples. And then, so we are using the generic Python. Generic here, meaning you can plug in whatever data type you have and run, get a result from what you want. So we are going to run this experiment here. Once the run is complete, we are going to see from it what is in the run details, okay? So let's run, yeah, so we don't need any other thing. So while it is running, I think you can also check under here, you can also be checking, this is the experiment that is currently being run from the Jupyter node. Remember, we named it diabetes experiment. So it creates it automatically here and it is running. So it's showing you that there's one script running or there's one experiment running already. Okay, so let's see. It started the experiment and it's analyzing about 10,000 rows of data. This is how it looks. So these are patients that don't have diabetes and those that have. So what do you guys think? You guys tend to say it's been biased all the while. But now it's telling you there are more people without diabetes than there are with diabetes. So let's view other details in it. Let's see, maybe there are other visuals we can see here. Okay, so these are other details. Took this amount of time and it started. So sorry. So depending on which parameter here you need, you can always get them from your run detail. So these are all the details in your run. How many observations are there? Which is the number of rows, 10,000, and all that. Okay, and then pregnancy categories. So it's showing you how many of them have diabetes. Sorry, let's go back here. Okay, so this is for pregnancy category. I think it's for unique cases or distinct pregnancy counts. How many of them are 5 months, 6 months, and the likes? I think the highest here is 11. Oh, there's 14. Okay. I like these interactive visuals. Has anyone used them before? Hello, guys.
Yes. So,
Have you used any of the interactive visuals before?
so how did you get to this interactive visual? Which package was used?
So this is where I got the visuals from.
Wow. I've not.
Okay. So let's check other details we have there. If you want to retrieve using an SDK, which is what we are running on, we are using the SDK. I hope you guys remember that we had to install the SDK using our terminal so that we'll be able to connect to Azure Machine Learning Studio. So let's see, these are the different details on their observations and the likes. Then, okay, so you store this in an output sample the data, and you can download the file. There's a download method, which is here, the download file method. You can download the file. So this is taking you to a more technical, so it's not just about running or developing your model and running and deploying and all that. There are other metrics you want. There are other metrics, other details, especially run IDs, their performance and all that, and how it is encapsulating or encoding the data to work on them or train them, different things you would actually need. So you can check here, the download files, outputs, and see. So let's refresh. Download files, the outputs, we have. So this is it. Yeah. So after I did all the normalization on the data or the transformation it was supposed to perform, so your data looks like this now. Okay. And now, if you want to get details, or maybe you want to, there's an error, and you want to know what the error is. For instance, when we're running the Python script earlier on, and it was throwing an error, we wanted to know where the error was coming from, what line the error was coming from. So you can use this method, the run.get details with logs. So these are the things that you see in your exams, okay? So for instance, they ask you which method will you use to download a file from your experiment. Which method will you use? Of course, your answer will be the download files, and it has to be run.download files. You want to get details, you would use the run.get details with logs to get the details. It gives you status. So they can imagine now, the question can be, how will you get the status of your experiment? Which method will you use? How will you get the status? So now you know that it should be your experiment that is running, and you want to get the status, and it is in the details. So how do you get the details? You use the get details with logs. So these are the things you meet in your exams, and it gives you all details here. Everything. So here, the log files entry in the data is telling you that no file was generated. Okay. Okay, so let's move on. We run a script here. It told you here that no file was generated here. In this case, we are going to run with a script here. This script is actually coming from here, diabetes experiment files. And then we set all the other details here. We're creating a folder, and then we are going to make the directory and set it here. And then we are going to copy data into that new folder that we have. And then we can then do a check again on the detail. So let's see, now it's added this file, diabetes experiment files, and they added a new folder, this folder with this file inside of it. Let me come here and run this. Okay. So now that file has been created in this folder, diabetes experiment. It just created that the CSV file. Yeah. So now let's create the experiment file and then run the experiment, and then we check other details that we want, just like we've done earlier. We've done this before, like just checking the observations and all of that thing. So it's writing this to that folder. So we are just creating the file. We are not running it. So this is the file. If you open it here, you will see these are the only things you see here. So let's run this and see. So it's giving us the number of observations. Remember, it's in the same folder that we are in. And it's giving us the count of the number of people with diabetes and without diabetes, and the number of people with diabetes. So it's going to save this in our output, and we'll complete the run. Any questions so far, guys? Hello?
So we're with you.
None, sir.
Any question? Okay.
So I have a question.
All right.
So this experiment we've been doing since, you understand? Though I understand that it was connected to our ML studio, you understand? But can we use our designer to carry all these experiments out?
Like I said, this is not just an experiment now. It's not just referring to your model, Okay, it's not just referring to your model. You're also trying to access metadata or access information about your model that is running.
Okay.
So this is where this code session comes in. Like I'm now trying to get detail from my pipeline.
Okay.
How long did it take the pipeline to run? Is it still running? Is it down? What's the status? You need to get all these things. I want to download a file from it. Now, Designer does not give you all these capabilities. Okay, so that's why you're learning all this.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. So you use the run.get context to retrieve experiment run context, which is what we did here. We used this to get the experiment run context, which is the current context we are in. And then we loaded the data and then created a folder named output there. So if you, sorry, anyone called me?
Yes, I called. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I want to ask a question. It's like I'm having an issue. The issue I'm having is that from this digital note book now you are using now to work.
Yeah.
I know most of the steps, not this Azure, the normal traditional method, but the issue I'm having most times I tend to forget the code, like things to. I know what to write. It's not as if I know what to put in down. So I'm asking if it is adding, like from the way you are doing now, like using the documentation as a guideline in normal industry, like to work in an industry. Is it adding?
Yes, so nobody expects that you cram stuff. It is expected that you understand, okay? And when you practice, once you practice often, you don't even need to have something to remind you anymore.
All right.
So what is expected is that you yourself, you basically just know what to do and how to get it done. If you can't remember how to get it done, Google is your friend.
Okay, sir, I understand.
Okay, and since you have this kind of material, you can always fall back to it to check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
But if you can be a wizard, I will encourage you to be a wizard. All right.
It's all right. Okay, sir. It's all right.
Okay, so we are ready to run our experiment. The script we created earlier on. So we are going to create a script run config. We will specify what file to be run in the experiment. Okay, and then we'll now run that experiment. So the script run config determines which compute target and the Python environment we are going to use. So if we don't do this, if we don't set it, it's going to create it by default. So take note of all these things. Your script run config we need a compute target and a Python environment to use. But if it is not created, it's going to create it by itself. Okay, so this is the script it's going to create the config for. We've run that script here, but it's still going to run it anyway. And it's creating an environment for it. Still preparing. You can see the status here, the script run. So once you go here, this is one of the plots we saw on it. So these are pregnancy categories. 12 months and the number. So different things you can check here. It's preparing. So you see now we've actually run 2 experiments. The first experiment we ran was this, which was part of this, where we generated this. So now see it's the second one is running. Let's refresh. Okay, so it's completed now. Yeah. You can check the details here, and there are different metrics. You can see the files here, different files it created, especially those in the output file. So once you come back to this, you will be able, you can access the files it created or get other metrics that it created from using a particular method. There's a method that we use to get it, and that's the run.getMetrics method. So when you get the logged metrics, some of the metrics are here. Different metrics that it's logged. Everything, they're all here. This is one of the logs. So everything is here. But specifically, you can get metrics precisely. It's going to show everything here. These are the different logs. We just saw them now on the other side. This is control log, driver log, and the Azure ML log, and then the sample. These are all the files it created just now. They are all in different folders, which is all that you are seeing here. Control log, driver log, the ML log, and the sample CSV file. Okay, so there are some other information you might really want to access. So you can go specifically to get those information, just like we did earlier on, checking status and all that. So let's do that again. So you can see everything. See here, all the detail you need. These are the log files, and this is everything in the log file. You see another one again, the ML file. You see the sample one. Repass sample. I think we have. So all the files here, they are inside, and you can access them using the get details with log. So all the files, all the log files that were created in your, you can get all the logged files that were created when your experiment ran. You can get all those metrics by using the run.getMetrics method, and you can get other specific details from there and see what are inside those records itself by using the run.getDetails with logs method. Okay, so you can also download some of them into the current context or the current files that we are in. So these are all of them. It's downloaded them, and you can all access them Not here. I think it's downloaded logs, yeah. So these are all the logs it's downloaded. Yeah, this is the folder name, downloaded logs. And it added these two files. These two files are inside Azure ML logs. Then the other one is inside logs/Azure ML. So everything can be accessed here, logs, Azure ML. Then you see this other one. So this is how you work dynamically. Your code. Now you can view run history. And how can you do that? You just use the get runs method. Get runs method. This is the get runs method. Yeah. So it will get you all the runs. So we've seen how many runs we have. We have 2 of them already. So it's going to bring the different run that we have. This is one run. This is another run. And these are their IDs. So just in case you have 2 experiments that you've run and you want to get their run ID, or you can access them mostly with the run ID, or just I think most things you would want to get is the run ID itself. And you can get all that details by using the log, the get metrics. We are already familiar with this. I think that is that. Then now look at the ML flow. So have you guys heard of ML ops? Hello, guys.
I've not.
Are these things strange to you guys? Let me confirm.
To me, yes.
Okay. Only Olamide.
So to me too, yes, so strange.
Okay. Okay.
A bit, sir.
All right.
Strange.
Not really, sir.
Okay, it's not really strange to you, Teleola. So I think Teleola is familiar and she already knows some of this. And including those of us that were quiet. Okay. So this the ML flow, as we can all see from here, is an open source platform, and we can use it to manage our ML processes. And then if you are familiar with Databricks, you'd already have heard of the ML flow and how to integrate it into your environment, or your work environment, or your workspace to coordinate experiments and also be able to keep track of different metrics in your experiment. So you would have to install this into your current environment or your workspace so that you can take full advantage of this ML workflow. Okay, so basically we are using it to track our work and track key metrics in our work. So let's install the ML flow. So we've installed it. I think the version is almost or the same with our current ML, Azure ML SDK. Then we can now use this one, what we've just installed to track key metrics, and this is how you're using it. mlflow.set tracking URI. So we are going to use our workflow, our workspace, then this is the method here to set the working URI, or to get the URI from here. Then once it gets it, we are going to create an experiment. So we have about two. This will be the third experiment here. This one has the ML flow in between the name. And then we'll set it here. We'll set the experiment in the ML flow, and then we'll start running the experiment, and then we get the outputs there. So while that is running, we can also run this guy to be getting the metrics. So this is still running. You can always come here. The run is complete already. So one of the beautiful things about this, and including the other ones I've introduced to you, is that while your experiment is still running, you can get metrics, get info, get status, get files that have been created, check all. Maybe you are trying to save a file. When it is running, you can do a check as the file be created. If not, you need to make changes. So these are some key things you need to take advantage of and be familiar with. So we've gotten the metrics, the observations, and then there are other details here. So let's view the detail. So this is a URL to go and check the detail. So you see, it just brought you to this place. You need to be logged in for this URL to actually bring you here. Okay, so it just takes you directly. For instance, the other ones we did, let's check this, including this diabetics one. These are all our experiments that we've run. This one, you can also get the URL of this one again if you are using the ML flow. Okay, so let's use this with a script again, just like we did in the previous session. Then we'll be able to get the latest run from our metrics. Let's see. So it's created a file just like we did earlier, creating a script, this kind of script that we created earlier. Then start the experiment. So it's creating this script. It's created this script just like a sample one I showed us before in this folder. You can open it here. Just click on it and it will open. Then you can actually run. So it's going to so now let's see if we can get different metrics from the experiment that we want to run. Remember, we created a it creates an environment, and then if the environment is not created, it tries to create a default environment, and then you set the different packages or dependencies, and then you do the script run config. Remember this method, okay? We've used it before to create the config for the script, and then we then submit the experiment for it to run, and we get all that details, and then we wait until it finishes running. Then we'll now use the get metrics to get the different metrics in it. So these are things we are already familiar with these things, but I'm just showing you how to do it with ML flow. Okay, so it's finalizing, it's still running. Not sure this guy. So, oh, okay, it's completed. So this guy actually got it. I wanted to run it before the completion so that we can see the status. And it's still running, and the target is still local. And these are other metrics. Then, so I think we are already familiar with this. Yeah, we only got the number of observations, which is about 10,000 of them. Okay, so if just in case you want to know more about the experiment, what I've just basically done is to show us what experiment is all about on Azure Machine Learning Studio and what you can do beyond the UI. So all the details you can see about a run that is completed. We have about 6 completed runs, 2 that failed earlier when we were using the Python edit Python script model. So the different things you can see here are all we have here, okay? And how you can enter and interact and get details, get metrics, download files, create new files, create workspace, create scripts and config scripts, different stuffs you can do about your experiments is all I've introduced us to here in this this first part of the third lab. So guys, any questions so far? Yeah? Any questions so far, guys?
None, sir.
Do you understand everything so far? Hello?
Kind of.
Sir,
Kind
not
of?
really.
You said?
I said not really, but maybe after we watch the video, sir, I think we'll get it like that.
Okay, but
Sir, sorry. The video is going to be on YouTube.
yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
So please like the videos, share with others. So I have another YouTube channel, but it's not centric to my Azure works. So I just created this channel for my Azure works. So now that we are done, we can close all files because these computers are still running. We are done. This is the other file here. So it start running the ML flow. So we did this same run here. We did it when it was running here, sorry. When it was running here, and then we got the number of observations through the metrics. This is how you get This is how you get it. Run.get metrics. So this is the key. It's just only one metrics that is here. And the metric is observations. And the value is 10,000. You get it through the key. Okay. Seems like you guys have no question for me. And I've asked if you have question. So let me ask you guys, how do I get, which method can I use to get the status of my experiment? Are we together?
Yes, I come again, sir.
So which method can I use to get the status of my experiment? This is your first question in DP-100 and you're already failing it. You're already shy.
Again, please.
This is not how to answer. Yeah?
Run.log.get.log.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Run.get.details.
Okay, run.get details with log. Okay. So how do I get to know the names of files that have been created? Which method can I use? How do I get it? How do I get it?
Get what, sir?
How do I get the names of files that have been created? Names of files, like log files and all other files. Yeah? You're trying to get the answer. It's like I can see some of you opening the DP-200, DP-100 folder on GitHub. So nobody is answering? Don't remember the get metrics?
Oh. Get me. The question
Okay.
again.
Eh?
The question again.
I said, how do you get the names of files that were created during your
Is it metrics is equal to run dot get metrics for filing run dot get file name print file.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
I was asking that is it run dot get metrics then for file in run dot get file name print file.
Oh, okay. No, it's just the method itself I need, which is run.get metrics. You are giving me the complete code on how you print their names. Okay, well, it's a good try. You got it actually. All right. So guys, let's call it end here, a day here. We'll continue tomorrow. Hopefully, our Azure Pass will be available tomorrow so that we can all follow along.
Wow.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, no video.
All right, sir. We appreciate. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. Let me check attendance.
Attendance now. I'm on my schedule. Let me see if I can.
Then let me see.